What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are back with another 412 video today. This video is going to be all about the exhaust manifold, also known as the header design for this car. So of course, with this being a V12, there are 6 individual exhaust ports on each side of the engine, and the configuration of how you make these has a huge impact on both the power characteristics of the engine and of course the exhaust note of the car. Naturally, when it came time to design the header system for this car, we looked at what Ferrari had done with this engine in the past and noticed that there were 2 distinct ways that Ferrari went about building the exhaust manifolds. One of which was to build 2 separate header systems that were 3-to-1 collectors and then have those collect later on in the exhaust system. The other way was to have a 6-to-1 collector where all 6 exhaust ports collected into one collector and then went further back through the exhaust system. However, after some consideration, Steve decided that he wanted to do something unique with the exhaust manifold of this car and design his own system that was separate from the way that Ferrari had done it with the F-140 engine. I'm going to let Steve explain the thought process behind his header design and why it would be good in this project. Let's get right to it.
Wanted to take into consideration that this engine is actually different in a few different ways from the engines that were being used at the time that this car was built. Now, first off, this engine has a 65-degree V12, so there's a small amount of an odd fire sound to this engine. In the older engine, the firing order would go from the front to the back on the opposite side, then to the front, and then to the back. So it would literally go back and forth like in an X pattern towards the center. In this engine, it's completely different. So this engine is actually treated as 6 individual V-twins. So it literally will fire the front 2 as a V-twin, then it fires the second to the back as a V-twin, and so forth. The change in the firing order is going to make it sound different. One of the most important things to me personally is I have to be really happy with, or I have to like what the car sounds like. This specific car should not have a high-pitched shriek to it like most of the modern V12s have. Rather, this car should have the more mellow, almost like 2 inline 6-cylinder sound of the older cars during the time period of the, the 70s, primarily like what the Daytona sounds like. I wanted to have this car have a sound that was like that, but something that was just a little bit unique that set it apart. When I originally started thinking about it, I remember hearing a V12 that was an F1 V12 quite some time ago. They ended up actually using 6 2-to-1 collectors. So it was actually 6 wide and then a single triple on each side. That engine had a much more deep and throated and like, bigger sound to it. I decided on a 6Y to 2 3-to-1 collector design. We were going to basically make what would be kind of termed as 180 headers. Most people think of that as a Ford GT40 thing. And this engine, the fortunate thing for us is that it is even fire on both sides. We put the 2 outer cylinders, the 2 next outer cylinders, and the 2 center cylinders all together in a single Y each for those pairs. And then those pairs would be evenly exactly 360 degrees in total rotation, but basically 180 degrees apart. I think that's going to give us the sound that I'm looking for. Unfortunately, this specific idea is going to require quite a lot more fabrication work. It would definitely be easier just to do the 120, so 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. It would be much easier to do that. That's the most traditional way of doing a V12 header system. Martin and I talked about it, and Martin agreed that despite the fact that it was going to be quite a bit more work to do it this way, that with all of the other features that we've put into this car to make this car special and unique, that it was definitely worth the time and trouble to do it.
With the design of the headers now complete, we reached out to our friends at SPD and went ahead and ordered all of the 304 stainless material that we would be using to build them. Before Martin could start on building the actual headers themselves, Steve had to design and CNC machine custom 304 stainless steel exhaust flanges for each individual exhaust port.
It's very important that our exhaust system doesn't have any misalignments or edges inside, where you want the gas flow to be like right on the edges of the material, right on the edges of the tubing. So the first thing you can see here, this is actually an oval shape. This is the exact shape of the port. And then this is the round of our tubing that we're going to use. Now our tubing is going to have 3 steps in it where it's going to change in sizes. I think I ended up on having a primary length of around 22 inches.
Challenging part for me to build this header was to meet all the requirement of all these runner lengths, making sure all the runners are exactly the same length as Steve suggested. And obviously you guys can see certain cylinder needs to meet together, so which makes it very tough to fit in this tiny little area. Another thing is, I would love to make things symmetrical, but because of the steering shaft being there and a very unique shape that we were working with, I kind of had to create this little hump looking header just to meet everything that's required.
So the exhaust manifolds are now done. What do you guys think of these things? I am really excited to hear what this car sounds like. I think it's going to have a really awesome and unique sound. Super excited for that. So that will be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down below if we made the right decision on the design for our header system. We will be building the rest of the exhaust system in the future, but before we can do that, we have to start thinking about the rear suspension, and we'll see you guys then.